As you know, I came in to succeed the late Tok Nan, and then the time was after the general election, where we were voted in with a certain policy that has been agreed under what we call Tok Nan themes at that time. Then one of the major push in the last election was the Malaysian Agreement 63, while at the same time we wanted to safeguard the interests of Sarawak, and at the same time we want to be part and parcel of Malaysia as agreed initially in the agreement, meaning territorial autonomy between the Peninsular Malaysia, Sarawak and Sabah. And also that we have certain rights within the rights in the Constitution, Malaysian Agreement, as well as what has been agreed in Cobble Commission. So in that election we won, and unfortunately less than a year Tok Nan passed away. So I took over from Tok Nan, and I pursue what has been agreed between the top leaders during that election. That is the Tok Nan team. So what I did was I gave emphasis on Malaysian Agreement 63, and also the right that we should have in oil and gas industry, while protecting our rights in terms of immigration, territorial waters, as well as our own laws, state laws. So those were the main issues that we have to continue. Then there was a change in the federal government, where PH became the federal government, and we were not a party to PH. I decided with the rest of my team to leave Barisan Nasional, and we formed our own party, that is Sarawak-based party, a coalition called, of course, GPS. And we continue with the basic policies that we have agreed. And as a result, during the PH government, of course, there were times we had to face the reality, particularly in terms of our oil and gas. So much so, I had to bring it to court. And as you know, the history is there. We won the court case, and we managed to conclude what should be done in the oil and gas industry. And also during that period, PH also fell, and we have a new government under Tan Sri Muhyiddin. Having said that, I have also to think of what is the direction of Sarawak for the future. It was only a few months after I took over from Adnan, I launched our international conference on digital economy in 2017. And then we had our blueprint between 2018 to 2022 on the direction of our digital economy. So that sort of a new policy altogether that I have implemented. And then on top of that, I managed to get some adjustment by establishing strategic organization that will push our economy. And number one, I set up our own bank, Development Bank of Sarawak, the BOS, as an alternative funding source for our major infrastructure project, particularly water supply needed in rural areas, as well as power. Okay, we cannot rely on generator, so we use solar as part of our source of energy. We call it a SARES program. Then we also enhance our water supply through various programs. Especially we wanted to have our own water grid that will cover the whole of Sarawak. And number three is, of course, our road connectivity. And the other one important strategic approach that I took was digital connectivity, meaning we have to establish broadband network so that all our places, including rural areas, will be connected. So we have to spend money on that, and then we have to use our own state money initially. We set up 1 billion for us to build our towers and also to get connected. So these are all the basic strategic policies that I have adopted within the last 4 years. And it is being rolled out. Besides the oil and gas, we set up our Petros. So generally, the last 4 years actually is a shift from our traditional economic policies to one which is visionary and using technology as an enabler to realize the objective of policies that will benefit Sarawakian. Immunity is important. Actually, this vaccination is not a cure, but rather a protection for you to enhance your antibodies, and that will protect, the spread of our COVID-19. The issue here is whether we can have enough vaccine. The federal government has committed that they will supply the vaccine to us. The next issue is how is your logistic, because you have to vaccinate also people in the rural areas, and logistic is a problem. Unfortunately, the budget for logistic is not there by the federal government. So what I have decided is we take over logistic costs, and it is to be borne by the state government, and that we have to plan our program on vaccination. And now we are on schedule. That's why Sarawak is the highest state that have people being vaccinated, because we have the schedule and planning. I must congratulate our SDMC for their hard work, and also for them to arrange all these vaccination facilities. A lot of people are telling, in social media particularly, that let the leaders be the first one to be vaccinated. We do not want to become guinea pig. The rakyat must not be the guinea pig. So it is a challenge to us, though we wanted, everybody to be vaccinated. So I said, okay, if that's the case, let us be the first one. Let us be the guinea pig. But so far, after that first vaccination, it's okay. No side effect. I'm going to have another one, the last one is next week. So far so good. No, it depends. Certain areas where there are green areas, we allow the normal school to open up, meaning face-to-face classroom. And certain areas under red zone, we have to be cautious, and therefore there are certain SOP they have to be followed, and they have to comply with what have been agreed in our SOP. But if there are schools that are affected by this COVID-19, we have to close for the safety of the other children. So when you ask me that question, my reply is depending on the situation. But one thing is we can see during this COVID that online learning is also important. Therefore, what I have done on connectivity, digital connectivity, they have to a certain extent help in online learning. Now there are certain what I call sector of the property market that are not doing quite well. But the sectors that are doing very well, the one that are doing very well is below 300,000, because people want to have their own houses, and that is within the affordability of the buyers. But if you talk about the one beyond 300,000, 400 to 500, 600, I think the market is not that really attractive. The reason being, one is funding, because the bank may not be able to give you loans, because your loan depends on your income, and then the cost of living is quite high. So there are houses or sort of apartments or condominium, the price is above 500,000. The sale is not that encouraging. But the one below 300,000, the moment you do it, then the market will snap it. Non-property market will okay. As you know, in Samajaya, these factories in Samajaya are expanding. And these existing factories, they feel that because of our advantage in power supply, so they will expand the facility in Sarawak. The same apply with Bintulu. Bintulu, we got investment in Bintulu. As you know, we are the top 5 highest investment figure in Malaysia, but the confirmed investment is still high. Still high. For instance, one from China, we call it Wina Steel. Wina Steel is projected to invest about 6 billion. So it is there. We want to have clean environment, and the world is shifting to clean energy. Because of that, I have studied. Our strength is in our resources, clean resources. Number 1, as you know, is hydro. And number 2 is solar. We can have our floating solar in our dam. Bakun as big as Singapore, and you can, have floating dam, floating solar in our dam. That become an extra source of energy, which is clean, renewable. Number 3 is hydrogen. Our source of water can be converted into hydrogen through what we call electrolysis process, meaning your H2O is split into hydrogen and oxygen, and that hydrogen can become a basis for your clean energy. And this hydrogen energy will be the energy of the future. That is where the Japanese work with SADC to set up the plant here to produce hydrogen, and they will buy back our hydrogen. And now I cannot mention at the moment because negotiation is still on. There are other very strategic industry in the world that have approached us whether we can work, and then they want to buy back hydrogen. I think Singapore has also launched what they call Clean Singapore by the year 2030. So in other words, these are the countries that are going forward to the future using renewable energy, and we are very lucky that we took the first step where we have a pilot hydrogen plant that I set up about 2 years ago, and we introduced as a pilot project our buses and also cars. Actually, I have one hydrogen powered vehicle as part of our pilot project to assess the usage of hydrogen. In other words, we can protect our environment. Less carbon dioxide emission. The other one is I will detail it out in our post pandemic economic policy. We call it post-economic exit policy after pandemic, which will settle on digital economy, and also we call it sustainability on environment. These are the two, and then I think we'll be on the right track for the future. Actually, now it's under construction now. They have done the first part, which is the underground tank for you to store your hydrogen. And that station will be 3-in-1, meaning fossil fuel, and then electric, as well as hydrogen. And we are going to construct in other places also. The federal government has agreed to reduce tax on vehicle that use hydrogen, meaning the vehicle will be cheaper if they reduce the tax. I see what happened this year because it was only approved in the last budget by federal government. In other words, the price of our car vehicle will be cheaper as compared to the rest because it promoted energy. If that happens, then we got a lot of user, and that will be sort of a buyer to our hydrogen, and then we will convert our public transport into a clean energy. It's being implemented now through our Sarawak Metro, a subsidiary of SCDC. We have to build up a station. Number 2 is the route that have been identified, already settled the route. Number 3 is we have to place orders for the train, say the rapid train. We call it LRT. This one will be less than the original LRT. This is new technology altogether, but the capacity is the same. The buses or the vehicle can take 300 passengers. Hopefully by 2024, because we have to do the station first. Now is the implementation of building up the station.